All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation, YouTube station? We are back with another edition of the NBA show. It's your boy Ham. I got my guy BJ with me. It's Friday. It's the 15th. We're a few minutes late. I was talking, BJ and I were talking pre-show a little bit about Title. Title winning on that cheese the other night. Congrats to Title. Congrats to our guy Hebrew, who was right there in fourth place. He might have been the bridesmaid in that one. I think we had a three-way shot, but happy Friday, BJ. Got a big 10-game slate. We got the NBA Cup on tap, but I know we're here to talk basketball. I know we are, but I got to ask you because I know what X is saying. Who you got? Tyson, Paul, the fight of the century. Who you got tonight?
Oh man, it's funny. We have a bunch of games, but I'll share it. Last night we're talking, and as a household with my girl, and she's obviously intrigued because you hear this stuff on social media. But I joked, she's like, "Are you going to bet on it?" And I said, "Man, like 3 fights ago, I said I was never betting on this stuff again because it's all rigged or whatever you want to say." I hope Tyson wins, but if I am betting on it, which I probably will, I think that over 5.5 rounds is pretty juicy. Yeah, I don't think that the Paul brother, I don't know which one it is, the better of the two. I think that there's no way he's getting knocked out, right? That's got to be some contract stuff that's going on. I think that slap kind of reasserted for me yesterday how fake it was. But yeah, no, Tyson's old. I want to see him knock him out, but I think if I'm betting on it, I'm betting over 5.5 and hoping Tyson knocks him out late.
Yeah, I'll say this. As a guy that's seen pretty much every Tyson fight since the 90s, there's just something about Tyson fighting that it's just must-see TV. I mean, whether he's biting ears off or whatever, he's just, used to be the baddest man on the planet, and I've just watched him for the last 30 years. I'm going to watch him again tonight. Can't wait for it. Chad, tell me, who do you think is going to win, Chad? You got Tyson, you got Paul. I'll be honest with you. Everybody's going Paul, and I'm just varying in nature. I did throw a little bit of coin on Tyson to win the match, so, I'll be
he's obviously an underdog. What'd you get him at? Plus
194.
Oh, yeah. See, that just makes it even worse for me to stay away, but I love it.
But it's like, you got everybody on the internet talking about how the Paul of the century, like bet everything. And our guy Marley's all over Paul too. I mean, Tyson's almost 60, man. Like, how's he going to – and this dude's all jacked up, probably on something I don't know. I just can't wait to watch it. Hopefully Tyson doesn't die or everything. But anyway, I see the chat blowing up. I mean, we see a lot of Paul, BG, Little Neck saying lock Tyson. So should be nice. Someone said also bet someone to win in the first 60 seconds. That was like 14-1. So we'll get right into it. What's up, Go Collect? How you doing? Wins a lot's in here. My boy Newens always in here. Chris is in here. Nate D. Ham Boner play of the day Friday. Little Neck's in here. Michael W. always in here. Michael Ortiz. JB Knox, what's going on, man? Wardo, Mike Spencer, Williams in here, Marquee Sports. We got a long list. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like. My guy BJ is going to break down all 10 games for us. It's going to be a great night over here in the association. I'm going to share my screen while I pull that up. Can you show them the slide about the 50% off, BJ?
Yeah, let's do it. So, in honor of Title in Rio, we're doing NBA 50. I mean, you get 50% off your first month. I think it's a steal. I know it's a steal. It's just time to get over to the nation. Like you said, the same thing we always say, this is kind of like a great time in sports. We're getting down to the end of NFL season already, which is unbelievable. But we're in full swing of NBA, MMA, this weekend. I think it's tomorrow. I'm not super in tune with MMA, but I think there's is it John Jones?
Yeah, Bones Jones is tomorrow.
Yeah, so huge fight tomorrow. You don't want to miss out on any of our projections, slate plans, videos, whatever it may be. And, specifically the NBA chat. I mean, we're heating up. Every night we're seeing winners, more shippers. And it's just a great time to be part of the nation. So nobody can miss out on this, especially when you get half price. You guys buy everything else half price. So Yeah, we'll save that for after hours. We run specials on the weekend, so we'll save those. But you guys buy everything else half price, so you might as well hop in on this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 50% off your first month. No better time to be in here over at the Nation. Let's get right into it because I know we got a lot of games to talk about. First game up on the docket is going to be those Miami Heat invading the Indiana Pacers and the once good basketball player named Tyrese Halliburton. I don't want anybody in the chat tell me he had a 50 burger. That guy, man, he just can't get over 10 points. Real life basketball. Talk to me about this game, Heat at the Pacers. I don't see – you're going to have to keep me up to speed on the injuries. I don't see any major injuries, but if I'm missing one in this game, let me know.
No, yeah, usual suspects for the Pacers we've seen the last couple of weeks, and then obviously Jimmy Butler's out. Before we dive super in game to game, you can jump in if you disagree or if you agree with me. When we get these big slates like this, there's so much information, so many plays. And I'm already a notebook guy, just writing down my thoughts throughout the day and kind of what I go on when we hear on the show. But I'm going to make sure tonight that, and I suggest it to you guys, everybody has their own process, but for me is as we're listening, as you're kind of reviewing the slate from morning up until lock, I fall into the trap sometimes of being on plays early in the day and early in these games. And as you get 7-8 games into your research, as you end the slate, you kind of forget some about some of these early games. So personally, I'm going to do the same. I kind of suggest, if you hear something early in the video or early in the games, write it down and come back to it as you're building lineups, because sometimes some of these plays can get lost as we talk about 20 different teams. But yeah, jumping right in, like you said, we have Jimmy Butler obviously out. Kind of a juicy total here in a close game at 228. Coming off Tyler Hero, just a 7,800. I mean, what do you have? A 70 burger, took 27 real life shots, 40 real life points and 27 shots. Kind of was just, taking over the game. He's too cheap in this spot. I mean, his usage rate is too high when Jimmy Butler's out. Additionally, kind of on other plays here that might be a little bit interesting. One that's definitely interesting. First, we'll talk Scary Terry, Terry Rozier. He played 40 minutes. We'll take out 5 of those with the overtime game, but he played 35 minutes at 6,100. Price, doesn't feel super cheap, but he took 14 shots in that game, was 3 for 14. And so he's going to play the whole game, was 3 for 14, 0 for 5 from three-point land. He's definitely an interesting play, especially if you're kind of wanting to get in some of these game stacks on such a big slate. So I'll highlight him. Hawk has at 4,800. He played 25 minutes. I'm not super interested in him. Highsmith at 4,500. He played 36 minutes, I believe, 31 without the OT. He's been on the floor a lot. Interesting play at 4,500. I don't mind Bam to allude to what Rio said in the slate plan at 8,200. The Pacers aren't very good at defending the rim. And, with a little bit of increased usage, a few extra shots at 8,200, I can certainly see how this game could fall into a bucket of a ceiling game for him. And then lastly, on the Heat side, which I'm really interested in, and I don't see any ownership around the industry, is Duncan Robinson at 3,900. His game flow he came in the middle of the first quarter and finished the whole first half. And then he came in near the end of the third quarter and played the entire second half, including overtime, for a total of 36 minutes. He's 3,900. He took 16 shots. He had 34.5 fantasy points in those 36 minutes, but he went 2 for 10 from the three-point land. And I just believe that if he gets anything close to that at 3,900, he could certainly go under the radar as being a nice little value play, especially if his shot falls. So that's kind of how I'll round out the Heat.
Real quick on the Heat. Are you okay with playing Bam and Hero together?
Yes, I would fall into more of a game stack though. Like I want to get some Pacers coming back if that's the case. They certainly both can produce, but in that instance, I need somebody to run back, and that's kind of like a nice segue into the Pacers. We have a handful of plays here that aren't super sexy. And like you said, Halliburton at 8K, Siakam at 7.4, Mather and his price is up to 6,200. Miles Turner's been getting an increase in his minutes that we're kind of used to, getting into the mid 30s at 6,900. And part of the reason why I won't fall into lineups with Hero and Bam is because I'm not in love with any of these Pacers. I can make a case. I think I saw around the industry like Halliburton was getting love We haven't reflected that yet on the Stone. We will, reflect that here in the next hour or so. But he's getting some love, and at 8K, he obviously offers the ceiling. But his shooting numbers have been so down that it doesn't make it a play for me. And if we get him at 20% around the industry on a 10-game slate, I'm all in for a fade on that. Siakam at 74, he's interesting, but he hasn't really shown us like extreme upside this season. So I'm not super in love with that. Mathurin at 6,200 has taken 16, 18, and 17 shots in his last 3, and he's rebounding really well. So I think, we're kind of getting to the upper tier of his pricing. But that would be a guy I would rather run back if we're playing 2 or 3 Heat guys on the other side, is I want to get the guy that's going to get all the shots. And in some of these games, he's leading the team in shots. So he would be highlighted for me. And then the last one I'll talk about is TJ McConnell. I call him like Peyton Pritchard light. Like that's what he reminds me of, kind of comes off the bench, kind of does everything. 4,200, I don't think there's any room for ceiling on a 10-game slate.
And no Ben Shepherd. I didn't hear you mention him. He's slated to start tonight with no Nembhard, no Nesmith. I see you shaking your head no to that. Mathurin would be my favorite pacer. You said it. I mean, just his usage, the minutes he's played over the last couple games, pretty remarkable. And then Hero, I think he gets a big boost, obviously with no Butler, and then 2 of the better defenders in Nesmith and Nembhard missing for the Pacers. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm with you. Hopefully it's an up and down game. Great breakdown on the first one. Let's move right into the next one with the 76ers taking on the Magic. Joel Embiid, I believe, is playing tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Still no Tyrese Maxey, no Banchero. So talk to me a little bit about this game. Should be interested. Jared McCain balled out the other night, was on titles winner. Philadelphia at Orlando.
I was laughing because of Rio's comment in the Discord. He mentioned, oh man, that TikToker can sure play basketball or something like that. And
the paint and nails, man.
Oh man. And then now that video is resurfacing of him. I don't know if it was before the season or on photo day or whatever, but I'm just trying to imagine being, you're on the 76ers, you're on not a super historic, but very historic franchise. And then you go set up your phone and do some dances with your hands and smiling and doing the whole thing. So, but he was a lot of fun to roster. Obviously he was like 1,000,000% owned in that game, as well as a Yabu, who we'll get to, but that was fun to watch. And like I said, I'm not super in tune with all the TikTok and stuff. I saw more of it on Twitter as the game kind of closed, but yeah, I don't know how these young kids do that. Just put their phone up and start dancing and doing the whole thing. But
I think Hebrew's got a crush on McCain over there.
It's okay, man. 2024, do your thing, yeah, he's even throwing Zesty out, man. I don't know, Rio. We got to check on you. But anyways, getting into it. Like you said, Maxey's out. Embiid came back last game, played 26 minutes. I would assume it's kind of the same tonight. Wendell Carter Jr. is out again, and then Drummond has the questionable tag. We'll start here with just and like I said, I kind of reiterate an early 2000s game total. It's 208.5. That's what I have written down. I don't know if it's changed. But the Magic don't really give up points, and they're very productive on defense. Kind of gets me off some of these guys. So, I'm going to kind of keep the plays shorter here on a big game slate. But first, Paul George, he's 8,300. He's not getting the minutes restriction, I guess, tonight. I want to look a little bit more into that, but that's what I read before the show. 8,300 for the kind of upside that he does have, regardless of the game total, where he could just shoot every time down the floor. He's interesting. He's 30% usage rate this season. So he would be in play for me. McCain, his price is up to 5,500. Now with Paul George back, he won't be taking 26 shots and going 6 for 13 from the 3-point. But he has 4 straight games with 30 plus minutes, that is, and 3 straight games above 30 as far as DraftKings points go. So if you're looking kind of at, he can produce and play well, especially, we'll call him not streaky. That's the wrong word, but I like to kind of think of some of these young guys in their first couple years in the league. They can, compound so well after a couple of big games because their confidence is so high that it's certainly intriguing. I don't know how popular he'll be today. Kind of interested as we get closer to lock and get to some of these later games with some value. But he's certainly someone to highlight in this game. If Drummond was to miss, he wasn't at shoot around. is what I have written down here. So that's interesting about Yabu at 51. I think it drills the nail right on the head. He's like the typical like men's league MVP, right? Big, he can shoot, he's rebounding, he's hustling. 5,100, kind of makes you think. I know it's funny. It's like a sticker shock. Like, when you buy something at $4.99 versus like $5, it kind of changes. But that extra 200 or 300 is interesting to me. But the total kind of gets me off of it a little bit. And then kind of keep the plays short on the Magic side. Franz has been balling out, man. And I refuse to play this guy the last couple of weeks since the Paulo injury, but it's kind of come back on my face a little bit. He's taken 24, 25, 20, and 18 shots in his last 4. If you take his price tag of 8,800, he's met value around that 5X mark 4 out of his last 5 games. I'll be off it again because I don't think he's necessarily a 9K player, even though he is kind of playing like a 9K player. But the total kind of makes me nervous. He's been productive. He's getting his shots up, which is great. But if I'm paying 8,800 for somebody, I want to wait later in the slate and kind of get to somebody else that's going to be able to produce a little bit more. 3 quick names before I drop it off to you. Suggs at 7,100. His price obviously jumped up after a big, week and a half, 2 weeks to start the season. If you look at his last game, he went 2 for 15, so I'll throw that out. And versus Charlotte, he had 34 DraftKings points, but didn't play the fourth quarter. So interesting, 7,100. He could have his, typical like mid-30s game with a little upside. So he's a little interesting. And lastly is Goga, 5,300. They've refused to move his tag. I know he killed the chalk, a couple of slates ago at 53, but bounced right back and went 12 for 12 and 34 DraftKings points the next game at like no ownership. But those are really the highlighting plays. I guess you can talk about Jonathan Isaac at 3,900. He's kind of getting minutes in a blowout, if you will. But I think I'd rather take Duncan Robinson and some other value as we keep moving on.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. It'd be McCain for me on the Sixers. And prayers up to Joel Embiid. He got shoved by Deuce McBride, fell down. I know it was a brutal hit. So hopefully he's okay. Just a dirty play by McBride the other night. Hopefully he's all right. And then no Magic for me. I don't mind the Franz call, but it's going to be Jared McCain, TikTok and all, 5,500. Don't hate that at all. Let's move on to the next game. I see a lot of love for Jalen Duren in the chat. You got the Pistons taking on the Raptors. Pretty close spread. Pistons have been playing better. We got the cover boy, Cade Cunningham, who's just been balling out of control. Headed up north of the border, 224-point spread. Talk to me this game, Pistons at the Raptors.
Yeah, real quick. We got somebody saying the stream is skipping. Is that going to be me or is that us? Or let us know in the chat if it's skipping for anybody else. We'll see if we can do anything about that. But no, you led with it. I'm sorry. I was reading the comments. You went over injuries already?
I did not go over injuries. I just was talking about Jalen Duren and the cover boy, Cade Cunningham.
Absolutely. Those are going to be 2 highlights of this game. Thompson's out. Ivy's questionable. Hardaway's doubtful and Fontesio's doubtful. And then the usual suspects for the Raptors with Barnes, Quickly, Brown, Olynyk. But yeah, we highlighted. I don't know. I like both these guys so much. I don't know who to start with. We'll start with Duren at 5,900. You alluded to, like Rio alluded to in the slate plan. This is a nut matchup, 5,900. I believe this is just a great smash spot for him. I believe we'll lead with him. Great play. Not really much else to say about that. We've been attacking Raptors centers all season, and we want to do that. Cade at 9,300. I mean, man, they won't bump his price up. And this is another guy I haven't been playing, and I'm going to put that on me not winning as much as I wanted to start the season. But if you take his last 6 games, right? Obviously, Milwaukee, the overtime game, he went for 71, but 44, 50, 61, 51, and 50, and now it's a 9-3 tag. You can see why the field plays him at like a 20% clip every night. So those 2 will highlight. You said earlier pre-show that Ivy was at shoot-around today, correct?
Yeah, he was at shoot-around. Looks like he's going to play is what I'm seeing.
Great. Okay. So if for some reason he did miss, Beasley's obviously in play at 5,200 after just, obviously had a great game versus old team, 2 nights ago. But in the 2 games that he's kind of filled that void, it's been 31 and 49 DraftKings points. So he's certainly in play even at the tag, but not with IVN. To jump down to Toronto, RJ's price come down a little bit. I think he was 8-3 a couple slates ago. He has a 29% usage rates. He's kind of at that 15, 16 shot marker. I like other plays. I won't be mad at you though, playing RJ at that price tag, because he is kind of the usage guy on that team. But I mean, Dick's been playing well. I mean, 45 and 46 and 2 out of his last 6. I know his price tag is there, but GPP play, obviously, just because he's kind of shown upside and his tag is there. But I wouldn't hate it kind of mixing in a K Durant and then Dick and maybe even somebody that we're going to get to like a Mitchell or something, and kind of getting off some RJ Love. But yeah, it's interesting. A close game, mid-20s. I certainly don't hate that. Wardo in the chat. But yeah, Pirtle at 7,400. I'm kind of off of it. Pretty strong floor though. I mean, you don't hate seeing him in your lineups, but you don't absolutely love it. And you don't feel like, at least when I put him in my lineup, I don't feel super great about, finishing in the top 1% of a GPP. Davion Mitchell at 51. We kind of targeted him earlier in the season just because of the situation. He's 51, but, he's not getting enough shots for me the last couple of nights. So he's kind of off my radar. And then Abaji at 56, he's been really strong. And to kind of go back to meeting value, 5,600 for him. He's met that value of 5X 4 out of the 6 of his last 6 games.
Yeah, no, excellent stuff there. I mean, I'm not playing any Raptors outside of Barrett, and he's pricey. And then I agree with you, everything on the Pistons. The only thing I'm going to be lower on Duren. I know he played 30 minutes the other night, back-to-back games. One of those games, Stewart got tossed. But, man, I feel like Duren's going to be a little bit chalky. I know we're going to talk about a chalky center later that may take some of it off. But, man, Duren at 15+%, even though he's got a good matchup, I'm going to be lower than the field. But give me some Barrett. Give me some Cunningham for sure. Yeah, excellent breakdown there. Let's move on to the next one. This one should be a good fantasy game. You got the Wizards. You got Jordan Poole. Everybody's talking about Jordan Poole in the chat. You got the Hawks. You got Trae Young. You got Jalen Johnson. They should be good picks. Dyson Daniels, another good one. Where's the guy that's giving me odds on saying Ricochet in the chat?
There you go.
I'm getting better. You got these high-flying Hawks coming off a massive win earlier in the week against the Celtics. Got a big boy total. Got 240 plus. BJ, talk to me a little bit about this game. Washington at Atlanta. Kuzma's obviously back. He's been playing a couple games, and no other major injuries that I'm seeing. But maybe I'm missing somebody. It looks like everybody that's been out for a while.
Yeah. Trey's back, and then Hunter's back, which is interesting. So we'll start here with the Washington side. This team, these two teams have played twice. I'm pretty sure they played back-to-back like a couple of weeks ago. Maybe there might have been a game in between. But the second one was just unbelievable. Well, they were both, decent fantasy games, but the second game that they played was just run out the gym, unbelievable. Everybody, exceeded value, and it was so much fun to roster. So we're kind of, obviously hoping that, ownership is kind of shaken out that way from our first run with Trae Young above 20%, Jordan Poole getting almost 17%. But we'll start here with Washington's side. I'm really interested, and I'm going to dive into this more, because it is an NBA Cup night, right? And I don't know, everybody's on different sides about like everybody's treating this, like NBA Cup, everybody's playing up, and then other guys are kind of like, and then it's just another game. But Kuzma in his 2 games back have gone for 24 and 25 minutes. I'm really interested if he can sneak up into the 30s and get a few more, get that extra rotation. 7K seems a little too cheap for somebody that, chucks the ball and is kind of out there with Jordan Poole. So I'll highlight him if his minutes go up. Our boy Sean out there, the Poole whisperer, he was on him the other night and he had a 50 bomb. He took 22 shots in that game. And I was actually watching at the end because, I was watching for Wemby to get above 50. And he took 22 shots, but I didn't watch the first portion of the game. And so I dive into that a little bit more. It felt like he took a ton of shots late. I think the Spurs got up to like 15 or 16 point lead at the start of the fourth, and they battled back. And it felt to me like he was just kind of chucking. So I think he produced a lot late in that game. But 7,400 in this pace up spot. This is, he's certainly in play. I don't love him if he gets up to like 20% though. Then I might be fading and hoping for one of his 3 for 11 type games from 3-point land. But the guy I want to highlight here that's really interesting, if you're on the team that the NBA Cup is, teams are kind of getting up for it, and Kuzma gets a few more minutes, I think Valanciunas falls into, playable range. He went off the other night. I'm pretty sure he had a 50 bomb too. That was a night, that was the $5 contest that Tidal and Rio, Tidal took down a Rio was close. But at 5K, I mean, if he, plays his mid 20 minutes or low 20 minutes, I really don't mind that, and like the field kind of is on to it, I guess, if you will, at almost 10%. But he's really interesting for me at 5K, especially in these game stacks that people are going to get to. Really, those are just my three highlights. I think, with Kuz back, it kind of jumbles up all these Wizards at, fair price tags. But those will be my main highlights, which is pretty common with the industry, but that'll be there. We're jumping over to the Hawks side. Trey at sub 10K, like I said, he went for 47 and then 69 in the 2 DraftKings games versus Washington. He's back, and I believe this is just going to be a smash spot for him. Obviously, almost a 10-point total is a little interesting, and I could see how the field kind of wants to get away from that. But he has to highlight Jalen Johnson's just been on an absolute tear at sub 9K at 89. I'm okay with the price tag in this matchup. Obviously the field is too at 20%, but those are going to be my two main highlights here. If I'm making a bunch of lineups, I definitely want to get those two paired together and maybe 2 Wizards running back. Dyson Daniels, to touch on him, he's 6,500 now. He has 21 stocks in his last 3 games. I'm pretty sure he's gone 6, and 7 steals. His price tag might be just too much for me, and I certainly get, like, in this type of game where the pace is up and the Wizards might be careless with the ball. You could, account for a few steals, but you can't account for 6 or 7. So he'll be off my list. And then I'm okay with Ricochet, but I think with Hunter coming back, I don't think he comes into a ton of minutes, but this kind of jumbles up all the other pieces that we do have that are available. So I don't want to mess with him or Matthews or Nance, obviously. And then to kind of finish on the Hawks, sorry, I went a little long here and didn't really get effective information across, but with Okongwu and Capella kind of splitting minutes, you're going to feel like you want to play one of these guys, specifically like Capella has kind of been, showing his ceiling in a few of these games. But it's just too hard for me to distinguish in some of these spots. I guess it would be Capella, but I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah, excellent breakdown. Just a couple things I'd say about the Hawks is obviously Jalen messed around and got himself a triple-double last game without Trey. Has the elevated price tag. With Trey coming back, I don't think he'll get as many shots, many opportunities. Dyson, I think his price went up $800 after that, that 7-6-6 steal game. He's been balling out of control. And then you said it, like with Hunter coming back, he'll probably be on a minutes restriction, right? First game back in 20 some odd days, but that's going to take away some of the ceiling from these other guys. But I do like, I think it's a pool party night myself. I don't know if you're in on the pool, but I always like pool. He's going to chuck it. So should be a good game, interesting game. And I got to mention it just because he's my guy. It's a Garrison Matthews revenge game going up against the team that drafted him, Gary the GOAT, Gary Bird. Revenge game narrative. No, I'm just kidding about that. But he was drafted by the Wizards. Love my guy, Gary. What's going on, Gary? Hope you're doing well out there. Moving on to the next game. We got the Bulls going to be running up and down. Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey, Kobe White. Should be fun to watch. They're always in a track meet. Really good game last time out against the Knicks. Got a 1-point victory. Headed into Cleveland, who may not lose all season. You can bet on them to go 82-0. Hey, 10-point spread though. I think that's a big spread. Got a 238-point total, 238.5. Who do you got in this game? I was on Donovan the other night when he balled out, but anybody this game, Bulls at the Cavs.
Yeah, am I mistaken? No, that's the Rockets and Clippers that played last time out. I believe is it these two that played with one game in between? I want to get it correct so that I don't mess it up. But give me 1 sec here. I want to verify.
I believe these guys played the other night.
They played one game. Yeah, one game in between. So they're sandwiched between each other.
Yeah, Donovan had 60.
Yeah, that's what it is. So obviously Ball's out, so we'll get that out of the way. Merrill's out. Allen's probable, but Mobley's questionable. So I think that is – I haven't seen any news on that. No notifications on the good old Twitter sphere. So he's still questionable, but we'll start with the Bulls side. LaVine and White, their price tags, they're going to be my two like highlights, if you will, at the Bulls, right? Obviously we have, a huge total, if you will, just under the Hawks total. But 124 points, it is a lot for the Cavs, but then to be 10-point dogs instead of 114-point team total is really interesting, especially when all these guys are under 7K. So Giddey's out for me. I like Levine and White more. Both of them, hit value for us the last time in this matchup, and White had 47 fantasy points. So I'm going to go White over Levine in that kind of spectrum. And then Vooch at 79, he's okay. I love him more if Mobley misses, but he's just solid. And 7,900, he's shown a little upside that can definitely make, worth your while if you get him at sub 5% ownership or whatever it may be, and this game stays close. But kind of the real puzzle to jumble, as we've talked about all season, is these undefeated Cavs. Like you said, Mitchell went off the last time versus these guys and had 60. And then in the game versus the Knicks last time out, he had 21, or I believe it's 21 or 26 shots in his last two. So he's going to highlight for me. And then not far behind him is going to be Garland at 71. Like you said, the pace is up here, and the Bulls like to run and play basketball, play open gym basketball. And if that's the case, then these prices, aren't reflecting what they should be. So Mitchell just barely over Garland for me. And then Allen's obviously in play if Mobley's out at 6,800. If you're on the side that this game blows out and it's kind of a high paced, matchup, as we know, LeVert and Ty Jerome kind of come into play for me. Specifically Ty Jerome, who, we've talked about him a lot in the Discord. But 3,700, if this game is out of hand by the middle of the third quarter or earlier than that, he could get some extended run at 3,700. And that's very interesting to me. He ranks out higher than LeVert off the bench. And then Niang off the bench at 3,100. If Mobley was to miss, we would definitely highlight him, and he'd be a part of my builds.
Yeah, an excellent breakdown. I love Spida tonight. Probably my favorite play in this game. Bulls, one of the worst teams, DVP versus shooting guards. He's been bowling out of control. His price went down $100 from last game after he dropped 60 and up 100 from the last time he played the Bulls. But I like Spida on that side. I like Garland. Yeah, it'll be interesting if, Mobley, or Allen miss. They're both listed as questionable. I think questionable, probable more than anything. But who's your favorite Bull? Mine would be White or Levine. I'm assuming that one of those two are your favorite Bull as well.
Yeah. It's going to be, what do we have ownership wise? Let me see, because it's going to be based off of ownership. So if it's going to be White, it's just, I want to take the lower owned guy. I think you're kind of throwing darts on who will play well. Like Levine obviously went off last time out. In the game before that, White had what I say, 47 or something like that. 47. So it's kind of throwing darts for me, $100 difference. I think in this position, I would play the lower owned guy. And that could be the wrong approach. That's kind of, what I do a lot for baseball and some of these spots. But I think both of them are going to get shots and add peripherals. And for me, it's going to be White at lower ownership.
Yeah, he's Michael's Patrick Williams. I'm assuming Patrick Williams, 4,400. Any love for him? No, for me, he just doesn't do enough. He doesn't play enough. But any love for Patrick Williams for you?
Not really. I mean, I want to find other value, and we can get to a handful of guys that are cheaper than him. And then especially if the Cavs are at full strength, I think it's going to be a tougher matchup for the bigs down low. So no.
Yeah. He has been playing better. I think through 3 straight 30 points. I just looked, but yeah,
he's hitting a ton of shots in those too. I want to get that right. Let's see. Yeah, so he's had, back-to-back games has hit 3 threes, right? So what's that, 9 plus the 1.5? So, that's a 11, 12-point swing there that obviously matters. And he obviously can do it, as we've seen, but I think a few of those ceiling gains might be coming from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent breakdown there. We're halfway home. We got almost 300 in here watching. The likes are kind of hurtful right now, under 70 likes. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Let's get to 100 likes, right? We normally don't give the people a like meter, but let's give them 100 likes, and we'll give BJ's 2 top plays of the day, 1 high owned, 1 low owned. Hey, you don't want to miss that. You want to see the stone. You want to get the best plays of the day. You want to head on over to the Nation. Enter the promo code 50 to get 50% off, NBA 50 to get the first 50% off the first month. This is a great game we're going to talk about next. It's the Brooklyn Nets, a team I never play. Don't want to play them. Too many dudes taking on the Knicks. Got some big news over there. We got Cat, who's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 2.0. He's questionable tonight, so it's obviously the biggest news on the slate, or some of the biggest news on the slate. Obviously, Joker's out as well. But let's break this game down, BJ, as if Cat was in, and then talk a little bit about who you would like if Cat was out. Does that help Brunson? Does that help one of the bigs? Talk to me a little bit about this game. Nets at the Knicks for a battle of New York.
Yeah, no, I think we'll start with the Nets side, but I think the bigger news, I agree with you, obviously huge news. I think the bigger news is Claxton. He's officially out. I want to verify. Yeah, it was about an hour ago. So I had him questionable. He's officially out. And Ben Simmons back in our lives. He's been in it, but man, I'm very excited to roster some Ben Simmons today. 4,800. He's getting into that mid, high 20s mark. And if that's the case, he can add so many peripheral stats that he's going to be in play for me. I get that it's a slower paced game, but 4,800 could be too cheap, especially with Claxton. I think he can kind of rotate and play some of those 5 minutes. So I'll highlight with him.
Hey, let me stop you right there real quick. So with Claxton being out, who does get those minutes? Do those go to Clowney? Do they go to Simmons? Who's going to get those minutes? Because, we've seen him playing, 25, 30 minutes a game. So who is going to get Claxton's minutes? Just looking at him, about 24 minutes a game is what he's averaging on the season.
Yeah. So I think personally, obviously Clowney will be in play. We have projected DFS to start. But this is when I wish, Rio had something, had a little microphone in my ear to be exact about what's going on. For my personal spot, I think Clowney obviously slides into some of those minutes, but I think DFS and Ben can both slide into some of those minutes too. And is obviously if Cat plays, it's kind of a tougher spot. And so we could see if DFS starts on him, we get a couple of fouls, Clowney starts on him, whatever it may be. I think, Ben can get that, extra 3-4 minutes. That could be very, intriguing at 4,800. So, I think it's going to be a mix of DFS and Clowney. And then Ben Simmons could also slide into some of those spots. But that's kind of my first thought about it. I could be way wrong because it's kind of rolling the dice about what may go on. But that's where I stand personally.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, excellent breakdown for the people.
No, you're good. But yeah, so to jump back on that, obviously Simmons and Clowney are both in play. Clowney will just be super in play if the news comes out that he's going to start. Still like him if he doesn't. Williams at 41, he played really well in back-to-back games. He's played 28 and 26 minutes for 27 and 37 fantasy points. His price is up. Interesting. That's kind of not a no-go zone for me, but that might just be a guy that I'm a little confused about what's going on, and I might not be super intrigued to pay 4,100 for him. It's kind of weird. So anyways, for me personally, I'm off of him now. Cam and Dennis at 67 and 6,500, their prices are starting to come down. And me, I'm all down to play Cam Thomas that chucks it 20 times, but in his last two, he shot 10 and 11 shots, which is certainly interesting. I think if he's going to take those same amount of shots, those guys aren't in play for me. So to highlight my plays, it's going to be Ben Simmons and Noah Clowney, which is funny as my highlights for the team. But that's where I kind of stand. If Cat's in, we'll go through both. But if Cat's in, 9,100 just still isn't enough. He's gone for more than 30 real life in 5 out of the last 6 games he's played. Had a 71 burger. I think he had 46 real life points in that matchup the other night, which what a crazy night of NBA. I think I said it 4 times in the chat throughout the night, but it was 50 bomb, LeBron triple double, Cat's going for 46. It was just an unbelievable night of NBA basketball. In that night too, Josh Hart kind of let some people down in tournaments I was in. He was 25, 24%. He's 69. I always kind of jumping off, whenever these chalk guys obviously play bad in a matchup, especially in a big slate with a lot of big tournaments, people seem to get off of them. I'm down to go back to the well at 6,900. And if Cat plays, it's kind of all these guys. And Rio's I've noticed it on the last couple of shows, kind of talks about it. He's like, I want to get to one of these Knicks guys because we know that, one of them will produce. So if I had to rank them, obviously Cat 1, but after Cat, it's probably going to be Hart, OG, Bridges, and then Brunson for me. But if Cat's out, then you shoot Brunson way up because all these guys are still going to get their high 30s in minutes if he's out. But really the only play I have to highlight if Cat is out is going to be Sims. I think they're going to be rotations where OG can slide down and kind of fill that role, and then Deuce McBride comes in. He is questionable tonight, but he's been questionable for like 3 straight games and still played in all of those. So that's where I stand. Sims at 3,100, obviously intriguing, but I don't think it's like a lock and load. And I could be wrong on that because, when there's all these guys already play high 30 minutes, but I believe I'm okay projecting him for like 22 minutes or something like that. So that's kind of where I stand on the matter.
Yeah, no, awesome breakdown. We got our resident Nick fan in here. Wardo said, I'm assuming he's talking about Cat, just banged knees, said there's no concern for tonight. If he were to miss, I'm with Wardo. I think I like OG the best. The Nets, one of the worst in the paint, and you don't have Clax tonight. I think Cat, if he is a full go, I love Cat. One of my favorite plays on the slate tonight. And BJ, I don't know, and I don't know how easy it is to find it, but I wonder how many times a net has been on the winner this year. I'm going to say it's not more than 2. I'm setting the over under at 1.5, and I'm taking the under.
Well, I think
bad, man. They're just
bad. Dennis. Yeah, you would lose that because I think Dennis
maybe early in the season.
That's it. Yeah. But no, you're totally right.
Yeah. He doesn't count as a net. Like, he's new. I'm talking about all those other guys. They're terrible. But yeah, Schroeder did have a couple 50 burgers early in the season, so I would lose that bet. But Cam Thomas, he'll shoot it 27 times, like make 15, end up with like 30 points. Like, how do you even do that? You don't get any rebounds, no assists. They're just tough for me to play. But hey, with no big man, give me some Cat tonight. Love me some Cat. 310 of you watching. We got up to 82 likes. Let's keep chugging. Let's get to the finish line. Let's get those likes up. Next game should be a good one. We got my boy LBJ just balling out of control at 40. BJ, 40 years old, just putting in work. 3 straight triple doubles. JJ Redick, they're making him look like just like John Wooden out there in LA. You got Wemby balling out of control. He put up 50 the other night in that game. No Pop. Hey, Pop goes to the sideline. All of a sudden, Wemby starts balling, playing him 30-plus minutes. I can't wait to watch this game. LBJ, I'm not a big fan, but, man, late in his career, I kind of like him a little bit more. You got my boy Dalton Connect on there, too. I'm getting excited about this game. Talk to me about the Lakers headed into San Antonio. Should be a pretty tight game.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. 2 things. Rio hop back in the chat and, just get a little fist pump that I was right on what we're thinking. He's in there talking about Ben Simmons could get 30 minutes tonight. So I love that for everybody that was asking. So we're right on there, kind of the mentality. So I love that. But jumping over to the game that I, want to watch tonight. Like you said, LeBron's just balling out, and it's been fun to watch from a basketball perspective. I had to take down the jersey for some other stuff. But no, it's unbelievable to watch. At his age, it's crazy. So if anybody wants to go blow for blow about him not being the best ever, man, nobody's winning that argument. Nobody's doing what he's doing. So, but yeah. So to get back into the game, Hayes is out. Rui's questionable, which is kind of like the big news here. I haven't seen anything as I'm taking a look over the Twitter sphere about what a status could be, but no, I think it headlines with we'll get to let's start with the first news. If Rui's out, I think it's Connect 4, Westside Connect, man. He got hot last time out, 3,900. I think he'll obviously headline. I assume will be popular. There's nothing more fun than, watching him. He's had like 2 or 3 of those now, including the preseason where they just let him get hot and they let him shoot the ball. And I think that's so cool and great for the mental, going back to that of like a rookie, right? That gets the confidence in his teammates. So highlight him, obviously, if Rui's out. If Rui's out, I don't. Reeves is okay, right? His price is kind of up, but when you have AD and LeBron playing the way that they're playing, I don't want to get to Reeves. And so I'm going to leave him out. I don't hate it. 6,900. He's a baller. He's fun to watch. And he's producing, but I think there's too much to go between LeBron and AD when they're playing like this. Like you said, I don't know if you alluded this earlier. It feels like minutes ago, but LeBron's gone for 60 plus in 3 straight games. I think, AD might take a little bit of a back seat. I'm curious to see like how this game kind of ends up with AD, kind of affecting with Wemby kind of affecting some of AD's shots. So I think I'll defer to LeBron here for a slight discount as my favorite play between the two. But those are really going to be it. If I'm playing this game, I'm making a decision between LeBron and AD. I'll be going LeBron, and I'll be wanting to play some Dalton Connect. And then before I let you jump in, my bad, to go over to the Spurs side. Awesome for Wemby. I mean, it's so fun to watch him play, and obviously had his ceiling game the other night. I think he hit 8 threes in that game, like you alluded to. 11-1 on a big slate. Do I think that this kind of meets the criteria for him to play ceiling minutes? I think it does. I think you get the Lakers at home, NBA Cup. I think this kind of checks all the boxes. But I'm kind of curious to see, if he doesn't hit his 8 threes, obviously he can pick up peripherals and all these other, all these other buckets. But I might be going elsewhere tonight at the price tag. And that kind of shakes out for the rest of the Spurs for me. I think, one, if Wemby gets all of his minutes, like, you're going to make the decision to play him, obviously. And I can't get behind any of these other guys. I guess you can get behind a little Castle Love at 47, but I think they all kind of eat into each other, all kind of playing those mid-tier 20 minutes and being productive. But, tell me if I'm wrong here, but that's where I stand. You can make a case if you're, playing a Wemby and a LeBron with a West Side Connect together to want to get to one of these pieces, like a Barnes Castle, Champagne, Vassell, but I personally can't do
it. You can't do Wemby?
No, I mean, I get the Wemby stuff. I really do. And like, I don't play him enough. But like I said, it kind of checks. If he gets the minutes, you want to play him. But, in these ceiling games, he just scores so much or gets a ton of blocks. And it's so tough to predict. Obviously, he's changing the game with his 3-point shooting and had 8 threes last time out. But let's say he gets 2 blocks and hits 2 threes, right? 11's tough. Or if he doesn't get the minutes. So I think there's like too many cons to his pros, right? Obviously, the pros are that he's a stud. He gets the minutes and, can triple double. Well, one of these days he'll triple double with the blocks, and he can shoot the 3. But I'm kind of thinking of it on a 10-game slate. Yeah, I'll have a few shares, but it's not like I'm headlining with him as like a big play.
Yeah, and Hebrew, if you remember over at SHIPIT Nation, make sure you check out the slate plan today. Hebrew breaks it down great. I mean, the Lakers, as good as they've been to start the season with AD in the middle, one of the worst rim defending teams in the NBA, bottom 5. Wemby should have a good game. I know Wemby, is not going to bang around down there and he likes to shoot threes, but I like Wemby. Connect played 30 minutes last time, and I see, obviously at the expense of D'Lo, so no interest in D'Lo, but if you're going to get Connect 30 minutes with all that attention on LeBron and AD, and rightfully so, you're going to have him getting a lot of open shots. He put up, I think, 30 points at 3.9. I think that's a great price for him. And LeBron, I think you said it, but your team AD over LeBron tonight, pretty much the same price. Flip it.
No, I'm LeBron. Yeah, I'm LeBron over AD. I think like a few of these jumpers, like your typical like elbow jumpers from AD, obviously they're so long. I think that might affect, or Wemby might affect him a little bit in some of those.
Yeah. I'm a little LeBron. I like LeBron over AD tonight as well. But if you want to get contrarian, what's the ownership percentage? They're both about 7.5%. So not going to get any discount there. We don't have anything showing on Connect, but that'll obviously get updated. And then you mentioned some Spurs, but not too much. I think it's Wemby for me, and that's it. Harrison Barnes, no thank you. I think LeBron eats his lunch. I think we got 2, maybe 3 games left. We're almost up to 100 likes. 5 more likes. We'll get to 100. We'll get you those plays of the day. We'll give you a little sneak peek of Hebrew slate plan if you're not a member as well. It's the best in the business. I think he does it 4 or 5 days a week. BJ does it. The others not going to find a better slate breakdown than over here at the Nation. Got the Clippers taking on the Rockets. Revenge game 2.0. James Harden. Like I said, I think I said it last Friday, BJ, but he has a revenge game every night almost because he's played for half the teams. Him and PJ Tucker played for damn near half the teams, but should be a slow game. For me, not going to have much interest in this. You got some 240s up there. This one all the way down at 214.5. Clippers at the Rockets.
Yeah, so I guess we'll highlight this with what do we do about James Harden? He got to spend a night off in Houston. I mean, back to his old stomping grounds, right? You go a night off. I mean, he's out there balling at the club. So I'll highlight with him. It was weird what happened the last game when they played. Him and Zubac didn't play at the last 6 minutes of the game. And like, it was kind of close. It wasn't like a blowout where they ran it out. In today's NBA, no 10-point lead is obviously safe. That can change in minutes. But I think that game got down to like 7 or 8 points with a couple minutes left. And I was thinking, why didn't they get that extra run? Almost triple-double, his assist away, had 45 DraftKings points. And if he gets that extra, he gets above into the 50s. 9,500, I get it, pace down. I don't know if it's correct. I saw it on Twitter. He needs 4 threes to pass Ray Allen in the second all-time 3-point rankings, or 3-pointers made.
Which is wild to me, by the way.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. So I guess it kind of a narrative, if you will. I mean, did they sit him so that he could break the record in Houston? Did they, whatever it may be? But I think he might take a few extra threes tonight, increase his point value. I don't mind him at 9,500. Norman will be probably my next kind of highlight here for the Rockets at 7,100. He had 31. Is it 31 real life? I didn't specify in my notes. If he had 31 real life in his last matchup versus this, then it's very intriguing. No, that was 2 games ago. Okay, good. But yeah, I think he's in a decent spot here at 71. Do I like other guys around him like Levine and if you go up a little bit for an extra 900, $1,000? I mean, Booker's priced way up, which we'll get to, but I don't mind it. Zubac is okay as well at sub 8K. But it's really just Harden for me. And then the last guy we're bringing is Dunn at 4,400. He's played well with 27 and 32 DraftKings points in back-to-back games. I could see going like a Harden and Dunn and then running one of these mispriced Rockets coming back. But yeah, to jump over the Rocket side, sorry. Fred Van Cheeks is down to a 6,600. It might be too cheap. I don't know. I mean, I say it like every time he's on the show, but his price is continuing to come down. He's taken 18 and 13 shots in his last 2. And it's a very interesting price tag. So, and that's what we'll get along with, with all these Rockets. Şengün at 8,200, he might be too cheap. And then you look down the list and it's like Thompson, Eason, Smith, and Brooks. Like, these are all guys that you want to play. I'm almost certain, if I'm remembering, Rio wrote up Eason, right?
Yeah, Tari Eason in the chat's all over some Eason. I think he had 40 DK points last time out between these two clubs.
Yeah, he played well the other night as well. So, it's tough for me. Like, for me, this is going to be a game on a 10-game slate that I can certainly get behind you playing one of these underpriced Rocket pieces, but I would feel, Rockets pieces, but I would feel so much more comfortable kind of going, Harden and then another piece with like 2 of these Rockets pieces. And so Eason will lead off. And then I think right behind him is Fred VanVleet. So I might be losing some coin on him tonight, but 6,600 seems very intriguing to me.
Yeah, I'm Eason. It's Eason or bust for me. No interest in Harden. I would say Dunn. If Dunn starts, which we haven't projected to start in 4,400, he's been playing well. I would like me some Dunn tonight. Dunn and Eason, that's it for me. Let's move on to this next game. Should be interesting talking point. Obviously, the biggest news, or some of the biggest news, no Joker tonight. No Aaron Gordon per usual. He's been out for a couple games. You got the spot start, min price, DeAndre Jordan. I would say about 75% of the people are going to just click his name at 3K. So DeAndre Jordan, Peyton Watson, pretty much all these Nuggets in good spots, taking on this Pelicans team who has their own laundry list of injuries tonight. Talk to me a little bit about this game, Nuggets at the Pelicans.
Yeah, no, just to you feel so bad for the Pelicans. It's just like, man, everybody on their roster is out, so – but we'll start with the Denver side. Obviously, like, feels like an easy, free square kind of type click. 3K is too cheap. Last year they ran him out a bunch. So we'll highlight with DeAndre Jordan at 3K. I mean, if for some reason he doesn't start, obviously you don't have to play him. But I think, that kind of alludes. I mean, we're going to be asking the question, and I'm sure we'll get it, is can we play like Murray, Porter, and Jordan together? Answer is going to be yes for me. You throw Peyton Watson into that mix. He keeps getting big minutes. I think he can replace some of these Joker minutes. But yeah, just to keep it simple and not to overthink it and get too, fancy with playing, I think it's DeAndre Jordan and then Murray and then Porter. I think Porter could have one of these ceiling games tonight. I know it's easy to say with Joker out, but if he, gets a few more rebounds and he's been hitting his shot lately, 6,500 might just look way too underpriced. So Jordan 1 and then Murray Porter, very close for number 2, but I'm okay playing all 3 of those guys. It is a close spread. I think this game does go over at, what do we have it at? 218.5. I think this would be a nice little over bet here. We're just going to see a ton of shots. And that's how I would rank out the Nuggets side for me. Going down, I mean, the Pelicans, it's tough. Like, Boston's been playing awesome, and you've been so fun to watch, play basketball. But he's up to 6,400. His price keeps going up. I don't know how much upside we have at a $6,400 price tag on a 10-game slate. The same goes for Ingram. I mean, he's almost 9K, 8,900, and he's not playing well. He was one of my favorite players back when he was on the Lakers years ago. I just thought he was the best of the group by a million, but his price is too much, and he doesn't really add upside of tons of peripheral stats, so I'm out on him. I guess you can get behind Missy at 5K, coming off 39.5 and 26.5 back-to-back double-doubles with no Joker. But, this is more of a eat your chalk and kind of move on for me. Tell me if I'm missing anything here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, obviously tons of injuries. I mean, if you click any optimizer, it's gonna spit out, 2, maybe 3 Nuggets in there. I think they're gonna be super popular. I mean, I think Jordan's going to be popular, and rightfully so. I mean, he's going to play a lot of minutes, and at 3K, I mean, it just allows you to get a lot of other things. I think Jamal Murray. I like Jamal Murray in this matchup. I'm with you. I'm not paying 8-9 for Ingram, way too much. Brandon Boston, I think he was like 4K to start the season, BJ. So that price is just absurd. I understand that they have like a full starting 5 missing, but they're tough to play. I watched a little bit of that Thunder game the other night. They looked like a bad basketball team, really bad basketball team. Pelicans at the Thunder. It was bad. So, yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the Nuggets, but, I mean, are you nervous that if you play all these Nuggets, do you need to have a run back with the Pelicans? I don't know.
Personally, no. Like, if you find yourself in a lineup where, like, you go Murray and Jordan, I don't think so. Jordan's too cheap. It doesn't matter. And I think, Murray with the extra shots and how he could just, take over the game, I don't think so. Like, I find myself in a position that even if the game blows out, they're getting there somehow. And with these pieces, how would they run New Orleans out of the gym? It would be Murray knocks down and plays well, and Porter hits every shot, and all these peripheral pieces play well. And I think if that's the case, I think Murray could smash that, Porter can smash that, Jordan can smash that, Watson can smash that. So I don't necessarily think that if you play multiple pieces, you need a Pelicans on the other side.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. And I was going to say it, then I was looking in the chat. MPJ, man, he's just so tough chalky MPJ, that's an easy pass for me. I mean, we're showing 10%. I think it'll be higher than that. These dudes will be chalky, so just make sure you get different when you're building out your lineup. We got one game left. If you haven't yet done so, we got over 300 watching. We certainly appreciate you tuning in on this fine Friday night. Hopefully you got big plans to watch the fight. Hopefully you're going to watch some high school playoff football, NBA Cup. Man, it doesn't get any better than this. The weather's still good in Tennessee. Make sure you're hitting that like. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. I'll hit it one last time. Make sure you head on over to SHIPIT Nation. Enter the promo code NBA50. That'll get you 50% off your first month. We'd love to have you over here. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of the of Hebrew's slate plan that he's going to put out, but not until we got this one game left. I don't want to forget this one game. Should be, I guess, a decent real-life game. It's the last game we're going to cover. There are 2 other games on FanDuel. If you want all the FanDuel information, you can check out my core report over there on the Nation. We have the Suns at the Thunder tonight. I think Nurk is correct me if I'm wrong. I think Nurk is questionable in this game. I know KD is out. I know Brad Beal is out. Booker at 9.7 should garner some ownership. Tyus Jones, he's pretty cheap. Talk to me a little bit about this game. You got Phoenix at OKC minus my boy Chet Holmgren and Caruso.
Yeah, no. Before we jump in the game, if you guys, I want to have a conversation with the guys that are playing these giant slates on FanDuel. I want to have a nice cup of coffee and figure out what the hell, you guys are doing or whatever it may be. Like, this is tough. When you look at the DraftKings slate tonight, it's so cool because of the last games at 5. I mean, dude, you could watch all the game, make your lineups, watch all your games. West Coast guy, right? Make all your lineups, do all your games, and then still go out to dinner after you've already, shipped and taken all your money. And the way DraftKings works, man, geez, if you win tonight, you could be at dinner and transfer that over and be in your account to pay for the dinner bill. So I love it. There's a bunch of stuff to do on Friday, and I love how DraftKings is setting up these slates. But yeah, you drilled it on the injury news. Grayson Allen's questionable. So that's interesting. That's something to kind of take a peek at. Obviously, Holmgren's out, Caruso's out. 9,700 for Booker, man. I get it with Beal and KD out, but man, he falls into a category of he's sandwiched between Cade, Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young, LeBron James. I mean, I'm really curious as we get closer to lock what his ultimate ownership breaks down as. But 9,700, I get it. I get the price bump. I'm thankful for it, but it might have been a little bit too much, I think, with all the other studs that we have. I'm going to highlight everywhere else, though. Tyus Jones, Ryan Dunn, Mason Plumlee, if Nurk is out. I'd rather go other places here. Like, I get it if you want to play Book. His assists have been up, which has been cool to see. He's been passing the ball, but 9,700 is too much. Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you on the Book train tonight?
Man, I mean, if I'm the Suns and I want to win this game, I mean, Booker's got to shoot it 30 times. I mean, he just has to. I mean, who else are you going to let shoot the ball on this team? I mean, obviously the defense will be guided to him, but I think Book can get his shot. I mean, it's just can they keep it close? If it's a close game, or then 7 points, he's got to have 20. I would say 23 plus shots.
Yeah.
I'm more like SGA though. I mean, I know SGA is a little bit more. I mean, almost $1,000, but I think SGA is in a great spot. I mean, I think he rivals LeBron, AD tonight. As the top scorer on the slate, especially with no Chet.
Yeah, no, and to jump down, and we can jump back to a couple of Suns pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah, SGA highlight, and then they put Williams at center on DraftKings, which I thought was really interesting. He's 8,300 tonight, and he has been balling, you guys. Like, if you guys haven't been watching or took a couple slates off, he has 3 of his last 5 above 50 DraftKings points. It sucks they moved him to center only, which is certainly interesting. But yeah, those would just be my 2 highlights on OKC side. Like, it's just SGA and Williams, and then Williams gets knocked down way down for me. Obviously, a much more affordable price tag at 8.3. But when you mix in the spread, center only, might be kind of tough for me to get there. I like some of these other center pieces. But that immediately goes away if Nurk is out. Then Williams is going to be a great play. But SGA, and then
touch on this real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So when you look at, so the question would be, like, when we look at what's going on, like, I think I fall into Mitchell more. I don't know. Like, that would be my question. Cause if we look at his game log, like, he just came back and he played 14 minutes. He, was 3 for 3 from the field. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm in the team. Like, I don't want to mess with some of this value because, like, it's pretty fair and you're kind of throwing darts in some of these games. So I could be wrong, but I'm going to keep him off my list. Just because I'd rather play, like I said, like Mitchell at 3,200, coming off of 26 minutes. Like, he's projecting like highly, at point per dollar wise, but I think I'd rather go there than sneak down to Williams at 35.
Who was Mitchell?
I don't know his first. Wasn't it Aaron?
Mitchell,
3,200. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For the Thunder. Yeah. And for me, just real quick, I mean, I say play Jordan. I mean, they're, same position, right? Center position. I say just go to Jordan would be the way I would go. DeAndre Jordan is starting from everything that I've seen going back to that game. But yeah, sorry, BJ, go ahead and finish this out.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah. That, and that's a great point too, is you rather just go there at that price tag. But no, I mean, OKG, like at 38 for the Suns. I mean, it looks like he got more run than than Royce O'Neal last time out. So I'm really interested in that. But I feel like there's so many other games here that like the Thunder could just run them out of the gym. I'm really curious to see like what this spread will get to as we get closer to the game. Because like if it's just Book, like how does SGA and the Thunder not just roll through the Suns at home, you know? So I like other games. Obviously, SGA and Williams. I think if I was to go a cheaper piece, I mean, you can get behind Mitchell, but he will be popular. And then for the Suns, I think Booker's too much. I love Tyus Jones at 58. Ryan Dunn, and a quick note on Ryan Dunn, like he had 22 DraftKings points, but he like destroyed the first half and had like a majority of those points in the first half and then didn't play well after that. So waiting on the Nurk news. And if the Nurk news comes out that he's out, then I'll be playing Plumlee as well.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. It's just a matter of, how are you going to build your teams? Is it going to be close? Then I think Book is okay. If it's going to be a blowout, I think it's SGA, maybe one of those cheap pieces down there as a bust. It's Capella starting night. I think Capella's starting night, but he normally splits with a Kongwu, so not sure. They'll probably they generally split the minutes. Marquee. That'll do it for us. That's all 10 games. BJ, we got to 100 likes. Give me let's say a 8K and above play, and then maybe someone in the mid tier that's not going to be as popular tonight. Someone above 8K, somebody below 8K, and then I'm going to head on over and show them a little bit of Hebrew's slate plan.
Yeah, no. So above 8K, damn, I hate to say it, but I think his ownership will be low based off of kind of the game totals and stuff like that. But if Paul George comes back at 8,300, has no minutes limit, I think he might be, pretty sneaky in that spot. So we'll go him. You said a mid-tier guy. Let's
just sub 8K. Sub 8K is good.
Yeah, well, let's go all the way down. Like I'm going to go down with the ship tonight. Like I'm on a Duncan Robinson train. If he's going to come in and play in the first quarter and play the entire first half to finish until halftime, and he goes, and plays the final run of the third quarter and plays all of the fourth quarter and in overtime and, goes 2 for 10 from 3, 3,900 might be a little too cheap, and I'll be down going with the ship on that. So that's my little, like, kind of, I don't even know if it'll be sneaky, but it looks like it'll be really sneaky, but I really like that spot. And I think everybody will refer to Tyler Hero.
There you go. Hey, I was going to admit that's one of my favorite games to stack up. Give me some Hero ball, Tyler Hero. Give me some Benedict Mathurin on the flip side of that, 6,200. I know he's pricey, but I love those. I love pairing those two tonight. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, I told you we'd give you some of the slate plan. If you head on over to the Nation, we got it all over here. Projections, showdown. BJ and Hebrew do a great job breaking the showdown 6 nights a week over here. The Stone, which we just went through. Here's the slate plan I was talking about, the breakdown. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of Joker and Wemby, what he had to say. Just breaks it all down, what he likes, what he doesn't like. Hey, Joker.
Hey, give him Joker's out. Give him one more.
All right, give him one more. And we got it noted up here that the Joker's out. So Wemby, SGA over here, AD, we got it all over here. Just listed out. Man, you could just make a team just listing all this. We got the studs, we got the mid tier right here, then we got some value all the way down there. Not going to give it away all for free tonight. I want you to head on over to SHIPIT Nation, enter that promo code that we just talked about, NBA 50. We'll get you 50% off. We certainly appreciate you tuning in this Friday, all 300 plus of you. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe on the way out, or if you're watching this on replay, it's a little thumbs up button down there. Right next to that bell, you can hit both of those, notify you anytime we go. That'll do it for me and BJ. Good luck tonight in your contest. I'll be back Monday, but we will have stuff for you all weekend long in the NBA streets. Have a good night. For BJ, I'm Ham. Let's ship it.